We're live here at the Community First Igloo. Welcome into Teal, the show. We've got a packed show because it is a busy time of year for the Jaguars. They're trying to get into the postseason, but we've been saying that for weeks. 3-game losing streak. It has been a rough month of December, but we'll try and see if we can maybe cool the jets a little bit and set the table for what's next. It's going to be a good show, though.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, when you're in this losing streak, it feels like nothing has gone right for the Jaguars. Everything that was so good for them early in the season, defense, fantastic, offense getting it done, just they've forgotten how to do it.
Yeah, and you look at all phases of the Jaguars, and nothing is going well. On offense, the turnovers are horrible. On defense, they forgot how to tackle. And Brandon McManus can't kick a field goal more than 50 yards. So not looking good for the Jaguars right now, but they have one more chance to get a win in 2023, and hopefully they can get that against a god-awful Panthers team.
Ooh, that Panthers team is a desperate team, which makes them a very dangerous team. It's tough to find something that the Jaguars can really hang their hat on this time of year. They're searching for it. We're searching for it. But one thing we do know is they are a banged-up football team. December is a time for celebration, and the Jaguars just haven't had anything to celebrate right now, especially when it comes to their quarterback situation. Each week of the month, it feels like Trevor's been dealing with a new injury. This week, it's a shoulder injury. So Trevor Lawrence was out on the practice field today, but he wasn't practicing, just watching off to the side, maybe a little bit like Coach Lawrence, helping get his guys right, dealing with that shoulder injury. It's not an ideal situation when your quarterback hasn't practiced in this long.
Yeah, and it's his confidence, too, behind a banged-up offensive line. And Trevor's not a guy who's had injuries. He missed 2 games in college at Clemson due to COVID-19 protocols. He's never really had to miss any extended time. So this is Trevor Lawrence, a learning experience for Trevor along with the Jaguars fan base, too.
Yeah, he said this is the most banged up he's ever been in his football career. Take a look at this list. Here's been a rough month for Trevor of all the injuries that he's been dealing with week after week. Week 13, it was the high ankle sprain. Week 15, the concussion. Now here we are, week 16, he had that shoulder sprain. Just another week, another injury.
I remember just a couple weeks ago against the Saints, or right before the Saints, he got that knee injury. So 4 total injuries that he sustained this season. Good thing he said today, he said he has good genes. That's why he always bounces back. So there you go. I want those genes.
Hey, we've been trying to figure out why Trevor has been able to bounce back from those injuries so quickly. It's all in the genes, you know. Look,
thanks, Mom and Dad, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Doug said he was flexible, too, so that helped in some of these situations. So he's not as rigid back there as some guys. He's flexible, so he's bent some certain ways, and he's been able to kind of shake some of those big injuries.
Hey, those stretches are important when they're warming up for practice. Those stretches are very important. Look, Trevor Lawrence has not necessarily been pleased with the way the team has been playing. After the loss to the Buccaneers, he said it was almost like the team didn't practice, or at least that's how they looked out on the football field. The frustration was definitely showing there. Today, he talked a little bit more about those statements and doubled down, saying, look, the way they've been playing, it's not a product that shows how hard they work out on the practice field.
I think that we practice the right way. I think we work hard. I think that our coaches do a great job of preparing us and our plans in practice and the way we rep different things, and I feel like we get every look. I just mean the way it's carrying over to the field looks like a team that doesn't practice, and that's what I really meant after the game on Sunday. So no, I don't regret saying that. I think it's true, and for myself, it's not like I'm saying I'm playing great and it's everybody else. It's myself too. There's things that are happening that can't happen, and like I talked about, taking care of the ball, just the simple things. Just being more consistent, more efficient. Not missing some of those throws, not turning the ball over. The list goes on. So it's a lot of things that go into that.
All I can think about is that old Allen Iverson quote, practice? Talking about practice? But yes, we are talking about practice. And look, when the quarterback says they look like a team that hasn't practiced, that means that they're playing sloppy football. They're making mistakes, and it's things that keep popping up out on the field.
Yeah, and Trevor, I think he's talking to himself just as much as anybody else. I mean, the Jaguars' offense has been bad. Trevor knows he's got to play better. Good to see him becoming that veteran leader, kind of not throwing teammates under the bus. He's taking responsibility. He's talking to himself as well. He's got to play better as a leader of the team.
And we've heard Doug Peterson say all season long, how you practice is how you're going to play in the game. And so if you have not great practices throughout the week, it's probably going to show up as a potential loss of the game, which they're on a 4-game losing streak. So obviously something is not going well during the week to prepare the Jaguars for Sunday.
Maybe him sending a little bit of a message to the rest of the team there through the media. Just maybe if you want to read the tea leaves on that one a little bit. Now, the good news for the Jaguars, they are getting a little bit of injury backup this week. Cam Robinson has missed a few games, spent time on injury reserve. Now, he could be coming back this week. Team opened up his practice window. Jaguars have been much better when Cam's out on the field. With Cam, team 6-1. Without Cam, 2-6. Coincidence? I don't know, maybe.
I think not.
Yeah, he's played well. I mean, Cam is huge to that offensive line, an offensive line that has not had much consistency. The only consistency they've had is injuries this year. It's been very consistent with injuries. Cam is their best offensive lineman. No doubt they play better when he's in there. I know Alessandro wants him back because he's an Alabama guy.
Roll Tide.
But I think they play better with Cam in. No doubt about it. Running game will be better with Cam in. Let's hope they get him back on that offense and he's functional.
Walker Little's done well, but you can't make up that Cameron Robinson size. I mean, he's arguably, or not even arguably, he's the biggest guy on the field when he steps in. So, yeah, it's hard to match just his size and physicality, in my opinion, is hard. And I think that's why you see it on the record.
Look, it's partially the leadership, and Cam helps to bring some of that energy to the field that maybe they miss when he's not out there. The high level of play that he brings is that left tackle. So Cam Robinson definitely important for what the Jaguars do offensively. We'll see if they can get him back out on the field. He said today that he's really excited and that he loves football and wants to be back out there with the team on Sunday. So we'll see if he can get out there and just what that Jaguars offensive line looks like, because they could definitely use a bit of a shakeup, and I have a feeling it might be shaken up by the time we see it on Sunday, and maybe not just that left tackle spot. We'll see what that looks like. We still got plenty more Teal to show. Coming up next, we've got the Commish of Duval, the Jaguars Fan of the Year nominee. He's going to come hang out with us here on the desk. We'll get a little bit of his story and get his feelings about the team. That's next when Teal to Show returns. Welcome back here in the Teal the Show. We've got Satchel Wetzel, or better known as the Commish of Duval, hanging out with us here. Hey, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, he's the Jaguars Fan of the Year nominee, so he's a longtime Jaguars fan. If you've gone to games, I think they've probably seen you around.
I would suppose so.
Yeah.
So how, you've been a Jaguar fan through and through. Where were you when the team was awarded? I know you were 11 years old when the team was awarded. You remember exactly what you were doing when they announced the Jaguars as this team.
I don't remember exactly where I was, but I can tell you I was with my father. And back then, we had something called newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
And no social media. And we read it just like everybody else did. And it was a big moment, bigger than any other city could have took it.
You've been a Jacksonville guy your whole life. And to see that happen, I remember I was coming home from high school in my driveway and I heard it on the radio. So I know you had to have a similar story where you remember all those years in the 95 season as well, too.
Absolutely. The first year with 95, my first game, preseason game against the Rams, St. Louis at the time. Not L.A. now, but, yeah, it was a surreal moment. Very, very brand new. It was a complete cloud nine moment for the entire family.
Would you think that you would be the nominee for Fan of the Year so many years later?
Absolutely not. But what's so crazy is I sure act like the entire process from a teenager, 14 years old, first game. Like it was, I act like it every single game day without knowing, 30 years later that I turned into a complete nut of a super fan.
What's your favorite moment in Jaguars history? I know you got one. There's one that's got to stick out in your mind, whether it's a game you were at, just a moment, period. There's got to be something that's just like, that's the one.
I can't put, there's so many moments I could choose from, but I don't think I can ever put another moment over that 63-7 playoff win, over the Dolphins. I never thought I'd be close to that kind of win for this team, this town, and it was against the Hall of Fame. And on top of that, that was pretty dope.
Retired Jim Kelly and Dan Marino in the same playoff run.
Yes, we did.
When did you find out you were going to be the Jaguars Fan of the Year nominee, and what was going through your head in that moment?
Well, how I found out that I was a nominee to represent this great city and fan base, I have to start off by saying they held that secret really good. And up until they held it until pregame, and they called me on the field, and Jackson was in on it. A few other, I can drop names, but a few other great people were in on it. I didn't expect to be in on it. Alex Russell, Tony Burns, big shout out to y'all. But I gave them some noogies afterwards for holding it in, because they held that secret really good. And I found out on the field right there, all at one time, the Fan of the Year nominee, and then the Super Bowl ticket right behind me as Jackson brought it on the field. That was too much for me. You might be able to see in the video where I go to my knees. I was crying under the helmet. I mean, it was like, it made me reflect immediately on the very tough 2023 year I had this year. I had a tough year with my wife and everything, being ill, and all the ups and downs from it, and surviving from a lot of trials and tribulations, and all of that came out when they named me Fan of the Year.
Yeah, that's so cool. Now you have you're mild-mannered now. What happens when you put that mask on? Is there something you got to get into character? You switch it off and switch it on. You seem pretty chill now.
You hit it on the head. When I touched down, parked that car, game day, the moment I start walking down the sidewalk, I try to absolutely touch every single spot of other fans where they're tailgating at. I completely lose my mind. Vein popping out, you name it. Chants, got to get that chant going. It's the greatest chant in the world. We even got them saying it in New York. So, yeah, it's a whole nother person under here from kickoff to the end of the game.
How long have you had the helmet and the whole outfit? How long have you been doing that?
Believe it or not, despite being a fan for so long, this was birthed 2016. And I was trying to improvise it every step of the way, because my fandom is as authentic as it gets. So I'm always, even having dinner, I'll think of something like, okay, I got to improve what I'm wearing. And I just don't do it for the fans. I really do it for me. Because what a lot of people don't know is mental health has a lot to do with this for me. So when it's game day time, that's when I get to really come out, wash away all the worries of the past week, and just release and smile and hug kids, hug the elderly, hug the disabled. I'm also disabled. So, like, I take a lot of that serious. So I kind of ball all that up and release it on game day. This is pretty cool.
You got to tell us about the whole ensemble, though. I mean, there's a lot to this outfit. Very stylish, too.
It's a lot. Thank you. But the helmet is it's a legit golden Jaguar of the villain Killmonger from the Black Panther movie that is well known. Well, a lot of people don't know it's a golden Jaguar. I run into that a lot. They really don't, even though they watched the movie, they don't realize that the villain was a golden Jaguar. He wasn't a panther like Chadwick. So the helmet I wanted the legit one. I got it flown all the way from Hong Kong. So I went all out for it, and I wear a 6-pound gold chain. It's actually 6 pounds.
Oh, that's got weight to it. No, he's legit. It's 6 pounds.
And I also wear, the belt is custom made, the chain is custom made, the shoes are custom made, as the helmet. I went from wearing a regular tank top to, I say, you know what? We got to up it up. I went to the jersey. So I've transformed several times to get it just like this.
And I think you've got it just right. All right, Satchel's going to hang out with us here. We still got plenty more Teal to show. We'll get his thoughts on where the team's at right now and maybe what we can expect from them over the next couple of weeks. That's straight ahead right after this quick break. Welcome back here into Teal, the show. All right, we got to talk about where the Jaguars are at in their season. So the AFC South is a tight race right now. Take a look at how the standings look. It's still all tied up. Jaguars need a win to kind of start to pull ahead from that. Colts and Texans both have 8 wins as well. Jaguars are taking on the Panthers this week. So it makes this a really important game. There's a scenario where the Jaguars can clinch the AFC South this week. They just might need a little help from the Raiders and the Titans.
Yeah, and you know what? The Colts and Texans have been helping the Jaguars out for quite a few weeks now to stay atop the AFC South. So you kind of have to give them, if you're a Jaguars fan, kind of some, thank yous, I guess. But, this is, like you said, is really important. I mean, if the Jaguars can win, now, correct me if I'm wrong, if the Jaguars win, both the Texans and the Colts lose, they have to play each other next week. Possibly we can lock it up to this Sunday and, everyone can be happy.
If both of them lose, Jaguars win, AFC South clinched, all good. It's been a rough month, though. 4 straight losses in December, not exactly what you want to see.
Not at all. Losing at this particular time on top of that is really scary to just have all that hype and staring at the number 1 seed for multiple weeks at a time to go all the way to now we're just talking about division talk. That's what I call a complete flop.
It's almost like a flip-flop from last season. Last season, they struggled at the beginning, and then they got hot late. This season, they got hot at the beginning, and now they're struggling late in the season. We'll see if maybe they can flip that switch in the last couple of games of the year. 2 games left, and again, scenario where all those 4 losses really don't matter because if you win the division, you get a postseason spot and a home playoff game, which is what the goal was the entire year.
Yeah, and, as bad as they played, and, I feel like Doug Peterson, but they're still in first place. You've lost 4 games. You've been 0 for December, and you're still in control of your own playoff destiny. That's how fortunate they've been.
Well, it's been a good, obviously, beginning of this season, but now Doug Peterson said a few weeks ago, it's not how you start, it's how you end the season. And they're ending the season not on a good note, but they're not playing 2 very good teams, week 17 and 18, so if they can't win these games, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Definitely not how you start, it's how you finish. Only one team happy at the end of the year. We'll talk a little bit more about the Jaguars' journey to this point coming up when Teal the Show returns. That's right after this quick break. Stay tuned. All right, so here's a look at how the Jaguars season is kind of broke down the way I see it. Versus the Scrubs, Jaguars are 3-0. Middle of the pack teams, 5-3. Good teams, 0-3. I thought I broke that down a little bit, a decent way. I had some debate on whether the Chiefs still belonged in that good category, but that gives you a little bit of confidence maybe this week because the Panthers would almost definitely, the record says, they land in that left column, and the Jaguars have been good against those teams. Me and Satchel were talking during the break, and he said, look, they got to go and take care of business out there, and they should do it quickly.
Yeah, they absolutely that not only do they need momentum, but they need to win in a certain fashion for themselves. With 2 games left in the year total, and the playoffs are right there, they need to gather some kind of momentum on top of having to get back on track. So it's a lot going on that they got to, muster up in just a couple of weeks.
It's your last home game of the year, too. Regular season home game. What's in store for Sunday?
Well, it's a secret, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to get the entire crowd inside that stadium going. We're going to put these 4 straight losses behind our back, and let's just say it's going to be a huge Duval. Wink, wink.
There you go.
Period.
Maybe a little bit of a spoiler alert.
Coming on this
a little
Sunday.
bit there. Something to look forward to. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here on Teal the Show.